What's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great morning so far. Let me just go onto the YouTube channel as well to make sure that I can actually listen to any question or see any questions you guys have and make sure that you guys can hear me as well. So just give me 1 second to make sure that that is happening. Why can I not? Let me do it this way really quick. For some reason, I'm always having technical difficulties in like the most simplest ways too. All right, so I can see the chat now, beautiful. So I'll be able to answer any and all questions that you guys may have, and then really go from there. But what's good, everybody? Hopefully everybody's having a great day. You guys can, in fact, hear me beautiful. All right, so good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, again, everybody's having a great trading week so far. We'll obviously take a look at some things, go over some markets, and answer any and all questions that you guys may have. I think, again, it's really important that we go over relevance, things that you guys need to understand, what you would like to learn, things that will obviously help you progress and become a better trader. That's the whole mission of what I would like to accomplish and really what this YouTube channel is about, to really help you guys get to the next level of trading, become consistently profitable and knowledgeable within your own individual trading. So if you guys have any questions at any points, feel free to let me know. If there's any specific markets you would like for me to take a look at as well, also feel free to let me know. I'll definitely take a look at some charts for you guys. Obviously, there's some markets that I'll be taking a look at that I have some personal interest in for myself and my legacy students. Obviously, because we have an auto trader, so I want to make sure that they're getting some prime trades, prime signals as well. But I obviously share that wealth and that knowledge with you guys as well. I will be sharing any signals with you guys as well in our Discord. Right now, the market's kind of been choppy, a little bit slow, so not that much opportunities as of yesterday. But today being Tuesday, I think that we should have a lot more opportunities in the market. We also have news coming out within a half hour, 8:30 a.m. Eastern as well for the US dollar. So we got to be very careful with that. We got to make sure that we're not trading anything too close to the dollar as of yet. I do think there might be some ideas with the US dollar as we look at some things. But yeah, we'll take a look at some stuff right now. Let me see what we have in the chat. Awesome morning, Jay. Let's go. What's good, Jay McAllister? I appreciate you being on. I appreciate every last one of you guys being on as well. I'm not a morning person, so me having to be a professional trader for my life, for my career, if you will, is kind of funny. And now that I'm doing YouTube live and everything, I'm not usually like the most active and lively person, so don't mind me too early off in the session. I'll get my energy midway through. So sorry if I'm boring now, but I promise to be a little bit more lively in a bit. But yeah, what's good, everybody? Good morning. So obviously, again, right now, since we have some U.S. news coming out for the U.S. dollar, or news coming out for the U.S. dollar, we're not going to be looking too heavily into trading U.S. cross pairs. We're going to be obviously looking elsewhere. Anything that does not have the U.S. cross pair involved, we can obviously take a look at and find some great opportunities. Let me actually go to gold, something I personally like to take a look at before I gauge any market, because since we are trading the New York session, or I personally trade the New York session, the most relevant and dominant market to trade is going to be the U.S. dollar, because there's going to be a lot of volatility within that market during this time. Obviously, the London layover as well. They're trading pound pairs, euro pairs, and obviously they're trading U.S. cross pairs as well, which will give us a little bit more volatility. So I like to take a look at gold just to get a sense of what's happening, if it's doing anything that we need to take a strong consideration of, and then really go from there. But with the U.S. news, obviously we're not going to see a lot of strong volatility as of yet. But when we scale out to a higher time frame, there might be some things that we can understand to get a strong picture. So what I was actually taking a look at with the gold, and this is leading into news, right? This is going to show us something that could potentially happen as news comes out within the next 30 minutes. And I'm only speaking on this on a technical standpoint. This is not based off of any fundamentals. I do not pay attention to the fundamental aspect. I know a lot of people might disagree. I should be doing that a little bit more, but I'm a technical trader. I trade price action. I avoid the news when the news is around, so that way I'm not putting any money at risk, and I'm just following what the market leaves behind. And what the market is currently leaving behind right now is we can currently see that this is, in fact, a level of structure. What was a level of in here, so that way you guys can see it. So you guys can see right here, this was a level of resistance, and I'll actually replay this for you guys real quick. So for some reason, the market was in a strong buy, and it reached this price and it started giving us an initial seller's notation, right? We can see it was no longer bullish and we had a bit of sellers coming in. This is on the daily time frame, so that little move on a smaller time frame is pretty significant. So we did have some rejection around that range. So with the initial rejection that we had, we can see the break above, and as it broke above, we can see the retest of that level as well. That's important, right? This entire move, the respect from here, the break above is also important, and the respect or the retest of that level of structure to continue its way up is also just as important, because what we're trying to identify is the fact that, is this going to continue to be bullish? And in fact it was. And is this level of structure going to be relevant to us in the future? And if I go ahead and delete or let this play out, we can definitely see it was in fact a level of significant structure. Excuse me. Because you can see we had the initial rejection. It came back to ask itself, do I in fact want to push up any higher? And we could not. What ended up happening was we actually had a double top here, right? So the double top at a level of structure that it formed itself here. That's important. So we go ahead and we press play. So what I'm looking at is, now that that market has in fact from that double top continued to push much lower, this is the first time that the double top has been respected. Right? And in case anybody's not aware of what that means, I know I do this on pretty much every session, but just to give you guys full detail, let me make sure my mic is good. Sorry, I'm late. You're good, Kyle. Morning, everyone. Started today by making 9K between two sell positions on Euro NZD and Euro AUD. Yo, Mark, you've been absolutely killing it. You've been absolutely killing it. I'm really proud of you, bro. Seriously, that's an amazing feat. 9K on two sell positions on Euro NZD and Euro AUD. Either you put some really big lot sizes or you've been holding those trades, which either one is amazing. It's beautiful. Congratulations, bro. Seriously. So with the double top, again, just so that way we could see again, that double top this is the first time we're getting a respect of that level, meaning that whenever you have a double top, let's say this is obviously our level of resistance, the market reaches that point 1. So then it gives us an initial correction, right? It respects that point at first and it's asking itself, do I in fact want to continue to be bullish, or should I respect this level and continue to be bearish? We get that idea, obviously, when that level of structure is not broken to the upside. But the true confirmation of a double top is when we actually break below this point here. Just very simple, right? That's breaking market structure. We're now creating lower lows and lower highs. When this level of structure is then tested, that should give you the strong idea for a potential entry or a continuation to the downside. Maybe not even for an entry, depending on what time frame you're looking at. Obviously, being on the daily, we're not just going to enter off of that time frame, but that's giving us confirmation of a potential sell or a big move that is happening. That's exactly what we're looking at here with gold. So what I would be identifying, and this is again just to get an overall census of what other markets will be doing as far as the US crosspair is concerned, and we might get a strong idea before the news happens. You never know. So I would like to see, and also to take into account that this is a strong impulsive move with no correction. I'm hoping that we can actually get this to be the level, to be the catalyst, if you will, to start that initial correction to the downside. Because even if it is, in fact, just a correction on a smaller time frame, that correction is hundreds of pips. Let's actually see. So let's say in a perfect world, we sold from there to here. That's almost 600 pips. That's not a bad day. So I would be looking at this as our current sell zone. Let me get my keyboard over here. Sell kill zone, which we're already at. So what we would have to do is go into a smaller time, well, two things rather. Wait for the news to happen, be released. So that way we're not trading with or against the news, trying to like, oh, I thought somebody was texting me for a second, my fault. So we're not going to go ahead and place an initial entry just because of a technical analysis, we're looking at a potential trade opportunity. What we have to let happen is allow the market to release the news. Once the news is released, as the news is released, we let the market settle. We're not just going to immediately place a buy or a sell. We're going to let the market show us what it wants to do, right? Let's say this level of structure, the resistance is broken to the upside and it's continued buys. What we're looking at was sells. If we placed it, we would have lost money. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay patient and professional in the sense of doing this. But if we scale down to smaller time frames, we start to see other selling tactics, i.e. your candlestick patterns, hint, hint. Right? You want to start identifying other factors that could give you strong selling ideas. Now, I'm going to delete everything really quick so that way we can all see something. As much as weird as it may look, this is considered a head and shoulders pattern, strong indication. The neckline, in a sense, I wouldn't say has been broken because obviously that kind of being the neckline right there, that being the lows. I was going to try to match it up with the left shoulder there, but if we did, we get small minor breaks, so we can't do that. So we're actually just going to let that be our level of structure as well. So right now with gold, we don't have a strong idea for any buys or sells, but we do have some strong ideas, but we're not getting confirmations as of yet, right? We're getting the technical standpoints. The market is leaving the clues behind for us to get a strong idea. So at least I would hope that gold starts to sell here in the near future. And that's just giving us idea for strong, leading into the dollar, the US dollar being a strong buy in a sense against other markets. So let's see. We do have a few minutes. We have about 20 minutes left for the news to come out. So let's see if gold either sells or buys, but we're not going to do anything on that as of yet. Let's go. All right, so any questions you guys have, any specific markets you guys want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know. I'll make sure that I go ahead and take a look at those charts for you guys and really help you guys understand what's needed to become a profitable trader. Because I don't think there's professional traders. We're all pretty unprofessional if you ask me. But yeah, any questions you guys have, feel free to let me know. Definitely want to make sure that I'm helping and assisting to the best of my abilities. If not, I'll take a look at some other charts. Not necessarily any US cross pairs. Again, because since we have that news coming out, it's going to be very risky for us to even do so. I'll take a look at more. Oh, actually, let's take a look at Euro JPY. If I see that you guys leave some comments and some markets as I'm going over this, I'll make sure that I answer those right after. There is a minor delay on this, so there's like a 10 to 15 second delay. So everything I'm saying to you has already happened in the past. So I apologize if it sounds like I'm answering your questions late, if any, but it's just that minor delay in between the feed. So I do want to actually go over Euro JPY because we spoke about this yesterday. I actually have the buy kill zone still pictured here. I do want to go over a few things because there's a potential trade opportunity that we're going to look at with this here in a second. So yesterday we were looking at Euro JPY, and if I'm correct, one of our students, one legacy student, was saying that they were looking for potential sells on Euro JPY, and they're absolutely correct. I believe that there still is some potential sells in the mix. But let me get rid of everything really quick. And what we were looking at previously was actually that Euro JPY was no joke. It was right there. Right, it made such a strong move to the downside that we couldn't ignore it. That's telling us, that's showing us, not even, you don't need an indicator, you don't need me or anybody else to tell you what that market is currently doing. It's very much a sell, or sellers are taking over in this sense, right? But you can't just initially sell from a low point. That's the one thing I see a lot of new traders do. They're trading from, oh, it's selling, let me catch that sell. And then they're going to expect their take profits to be all the way down there, and then they put their stop losses so tight that obviously it's going to be hit. We never want to trade at a low point, right? Let this be a very strong lesson that you guys take with you. You never want to trade at a low point because the market is already selling doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue, especially when it reaches a significant level of structure. This is why I'm always adamant about really helping you guys understand that structure, price should be a focal point in your trading. Obviously, there's other things when it comes to trading. You have other confluences, your candlesticks being a big one, trend lines, fibs being huge, any other forms of confluence that you may use, maybe some indicators like an RSI or your moving averages. Anything that can help you understand a trade better is great, but the focal point should always be understanding price. Right? Price is where movement and actions are made, hence why it's called price action trading. You're identifying the most relevant level of price, and you're then identifying the actions that proceed within them. So what we were looking at yesterday, and we kind of cheated, right? We kind of cheated in a sense. Let me see what we have here. I took the buy you recommended yesterday on EJ. Good shit, because we're going over that right now, right? I actually didn't. I didn't place the buy on it. I was waiting for it to. I was waiting to see if it came back a little bit to like respect the discipline of my trading, and it did not. So I wouldn't say it's a missed opportunity if you guys made any money off of it. And obviously the analysis was so on point. It was almost impossible for us to lose that trade. So what we were looking at yesterday was, again, the market made a strong move down. And in case anybody's wondering why I'm speaking on something before, is because I'm trying to help you guys understand how a trade is to be found and how to obviously enter trade and what you should wait for in order for a market to truly give you an entry, right? How it develops, how it moves, what happens before an entry is even found, right? So we can see how the market made a strong move to the downside. That's already telling me strong sells, and that this impulsive move needs a correction. That's the most important thing. After a strong impulsive move, hence like we have a strong impulsive move here, that's a correction. Strong impulsive move, that's a correction, right? So you can see how the market is always going to find an initial move against the initial trend, right? That's called a counter trend trade. So what we were looking at, and we cheated a little bit because the structure I was looking at, to be perfect, to be fair rather, to be transparent, was roughly around that area there, right? But what I was also saying is, well, you're not just going to be able to say, well, within this giant structure is going to be perfect. I know exactly where it's going to be. We don't. But what we're doing is we're labeling and identifying this level of structure, and then we're letting the market show us where, in fact, it wants to respect. And we can see it was roughly around that area. Let me see. Hey, Jay, it's been a minute. I'm driving trucks now and have time to learn trade. Got a question. Do you go live every morning on YouTube? Yes, I do. Every morning. So you can see here that there's an impulsive move to the downside. Strong move. After I see a strong impulsive move, I'm expecting a correction, right? So we were getting a double up, and that double up is about to happen, hopefully. So what we're looking at is, well, this level of structure here is being currently respected, and we're on the 4-hour time frame, right? You can see the time frames here. So on the 4-hour time frame, even on the smaller time frame, we're starting to see some rejection. Let me play this out really quick. Let me make it a little bit slower. So we're going to play this out really quick, and we can start to see that rejection. I was hoping that candle didn't spike up that quick, but on the smaller time frame, we were able to start to see the initial rejection coming from that area. So what I was expecting or advising people were saying that if we're going to look at Euro JPY, we're going to have to scale down to a smaller time frame, being the 2-hour and 1 hour. Because this structure, the buy structure that we're looking at, was found on the daily 4-hour time frame, which is a strong, I wouldn't say strong, the 4-hour not being the strongest, the daily, weekly, monthly, those will be your stronger structure points, your PRZs, if you will. But 4-hour structures could definitely be used to identify a move as well. And I can see right here that, again, this being the buy zone, I was expecting it to buy, or correct rather, into a sell point, which our sell zone is right around here. I'm not going to draw my structure like this in the account of that big wick right there, only because that structure will look crazy. Like, that'll be a giant zone. So I'm going to make it kind of perfect in that sense. And when the market reaches that point, I'm not expecting a specific price. I'm looking for actions around that area to then dictate to say, well, where in that zone is there a potential sell? So in fact, I actually ended up drawing out some trend lines here for future trades. You can see the connector point here, secondary, your trigger, your third touch, confirming that the trend line is in fact accurate. And if you have respect of that area, again, you could look for a potential entry. When we play this out, I was like, why isn't it playing? Actually, we'll just we'll delete the actual replay just to get it done faster. You can see we're roughly within that area. Now, I'm not going to be perfect on the structure, right? I'm looking for that area to be met. And then once that area is met, and I know it's broken above, I'm now going to say, okay, it's at the area where I was expecting a potential move from. What other clues can I identify that can then confirm those initial sells? Now I'm going to adapt. I'm going to make my structure a little bit more perfect to the sense of where the market is currently respecting. So right now we can see it's respecting around that area. I'm not going to try to be too perfect, but I'm going to match up two zones. This level of support here, right? I keep forgetting that the webcam is like on that side. So let me move this over here so like the chart is not right on my face. But you can see I'm respecting this level of support. I'll actually do it like this, that way everybody can see. And this is how I'm just marking my structure. I'm giving you guys a real detailed look on why I'm doing specific things. So this being what was a level of support was broken and retested. I know the zone was retested all the way up there, but either way, that was retested and then shot to the downside. That is a significant level of structure here on the 2-hour, 1 hour, 4-hour time frame. So what we can now identify is, okay, well, this could be our sell zone. Obviously, the trend line not being met, but what other forms of confluence can we use or tools can we use in order to get a strong idea of a next move? Our Fibonacci retracement tool. So we're going to go from swing high here to swing low. So we are roughly around that 786. We've broken above it. So what I will do is I'll mark this up as our sell kill zone. And if it still continues to break above that 786, I'll be more specific on looking at that 886 fib ratio as our sell zone. But right now we are looking at a potential sell setting up here on Euro JPY. So let me go ahead and put sell kill zone. So you can see here that, so we looked at that buy from yesterday. That's completely, that's obviously worked out for any individuals who are able to use that. Now, if you were in those buys, look to take profits shortly because we are very much within a sell kill zone. Also, you guys are going to be completely confused with this in a second. We are, in fact, in a legacy line area as well. So if anybody's confused on that, which I'm pretty sure everybody would be, I have my own personal little strategy with these moving averages, Bollinger Bands, where I'll try to identify the more precise levels of structure based off of a few factors using these moving averages and using this candlestick, at least on this time frame where we are in a legacy line trade setup, and we have another more precise one leading into this area here. Now, if you guys are wondering how do you identify, I can't even go into it. There's a lot that goes into the initial strategy to even identify like my thought process behind it. So so even with my little strategy there, we are looking very, very nicely into the idea of a potential trade setting up for a sell here. Obviously, we're not going to place anything just yet. We have to allow this candle to close. We can see this candle is actually still very much bullish engulfing with no wick to the upside currently, and a large, or I would say just a normal, just a standard rejection to the downside. And then we would really have to wait for this to close, but I want to see if we can get some initial sells setting up here for Euro JPY. So just wanted to take a quick look at that, see if anybody also placed any buys on this or had any further analysis or something, you know, relatively close to it. But yeah, questions, comments, concerns, gripes, complaints, let me know what you guys got, and I'll make sure that I answer any and all questions for you guys. That is not the right tool. My mic is like in the way of everything right now. There we go. All right, so let me see. So I'm just going to redraw my analysis really quick. Just in the event that, again, if there is an entry, I want to make sure that once it's there, I have everything marked up and I'm like, oh shit, it's time to enter, or the market is leaving clues behind in this area. So let me go ahead and start identifying a few things. So yeah, let me see. Jay McAllister, do you only get the trend on the 2 hour or do you look at the 4 hour? So you're not getting the trend off the 2 hour or the 4 hour. You're getting the trend off of the higher time frames, such as the daily, the weekly, even the monthly, if you will. Are there times, so there's two types of trends as well, right? So this is something that that's a great question, by the way, because I know a lot of people only see me like on the smaller time frames, such as the 1, the 2, and the 4. That's only because I have already, before we jump onto a call, I kind of already have a sense of the trend and direction of most markets, and then I'll end up deleting my analysis so that way we can start fresh on these calls. But you always wanted to make sure that you're identifying the overall trend, which is the higher time frame, which is like the daily. So let's say you have an overall trend on the weekly or the daily and the weekly like this, right? But on the smaller time frames, it doesn't look like that. It looks like this, right? There are times where there's going to be strong sells against a buyer's market. So if I can understand that, well, after this strong move, on a smaller time frame, let's say, this is a bullish market. Let's say right now on Euro JPY, we're extremely bullish on, the daily and the weekly. That's the overall trend. The immediate trend is what you see on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the 1 and the 2 and the 4 hour. Those are your immediate trends. What the market is currently doing on a intraday perspective, meaning you're only holding a trade for a few amount of hours, not like swing trading or position trading where you're holding for days, weeks, months, or even years at some points for some people, right? So you can always identify on the smaller time frames, detailed moves, and be able to buy, you'd be able to sell in a buyer's market and be able to buy in a seller's market. That's what you do on smaller time frames. So yes, on higher time frames, or you identify your trend on higher time frames, but on these smaller time frames, you could definitely identify some things, because on the daily time frame, Euro JPY is, I would say, ranging, right? Because we go from here to even here. That's not really a trend, right? But that's the overall market. But if we look at more immediate standpoints, that's bearish. That's, a correction. We found some structure. Now the market's a little bit bullish. So we can consider this overall a ranging market. But when we scale down to smaller time frames, they'll have their own trends. They'll have their own moves. So we got to be able to identify those as well. Because even though considering, Euro JPY, if we go into a higher time frame, overall bullish, right? But what's currently happening, more of the immediate aspect. So don't just get caught up so much of, it's buying, I'm only looking for buys. You also have to make sure that, okay, well, it's overall in a bullish market, but what's that bitch doing right now? You know what I mean? So that's why that's why I'm usually on smaller time frames. I have an understanding of what the overall market is doing, and on the smaller time frames, I know that they have their own individual personalities, if you will. They make their own moves and decisions too. So yeah, higher time frame, you're always checking for the trends, but smaller time frames, they will have their own trends and their own moves as well. So be able to identify those as well. Trend line, what about it? Trend line? Just trend line? What do you mean by trend line? Do you need assistance with trend? Is there a trend line? I mean, if you're are you looking at the fact that you have a trend line on Euro JPY, something like that? Is that what you mean? I mean, that could be something as well. Or are you asking me what time frames do I draw up my trend lines? And just to answer that in advance, in case anybody's even wondering that, and even if that wasn't something you were asking, you're drawing everything on every time frame. Each time frame has its own markup. So as you see here, I just drew some trend lines just to see if I was to answer your question. You can see that there's trend lines here on the daily time frame. On the 4 hour, those trend lines won't be as relevant, or you won't be able to see those. But on the 4 hour time frame, this is going to have its own initial markup and trend lines, right? So yes, trend lines on each time frame, but make sure make sure you're drawing them on each time frame if need be. Let me see. I look at the 4 hour and the daily, but I saw you plot the trend line on the 2 hour, and I definitely understand. I was speaking on the trend line, not the trend. Correct. Okay, yeah. It doesn't matter. So you could do this shit on the weekly. You could do this shit on the 1 minute. It doesn't matter. Your technical analysis is going to be done the same way on each time frame. No difference. I think that's the misconception a lot of people have, that there's a secret time frame. No, there's no secret time frame. You're basing your trade, your entries, your overall success off of the analysis that you put onto the chart. There's no guru answer to the best time frame, the best candlestick pattern to identify the best fib ratio. There's none of that. If there was, I mean, I think a lot of people would already know by now which ones those things are, with how much resources and success people have had trading. So in my honest opinion, you're always going to want to make sure that you're doing your markups on each time frame. That's it. You're not just doing it on one. It has to be done on each. That's why it's called time frame confluence as well, right? Because you can't just get an idea that, for a trade off the 1 hour without understanding each time frame. They have to tell you the same thing, meaning that if I'm looking at the daily and the daily is telling me a sell, I got to make sure that the 4 hour, the 2 hour, the 1 hour, each other time frame is telling me the same thing as well. I can't just say, well, the daily's telling me a sell, but then everything else is telling me a buy. That can't work. So you got to make sure that you're understanding each time frame's own analysis. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. And if anybody else got questions, feel free to let me know. But yeah, let me actually go back to a smaller time frame here on Euro JPY to see if there is a trade setting up. So I was seeing if there was going to be a trend line, something like that, but it has broken above. Now, if you're wondering, but Jay, it broke above the trend line, can you confirm that? Absolutely not. The way that I'm disciplined with my trend line is there actually has to be a third touch without a break, meaning that we have one touch here, two touch, and that third touch has been broken to the upside. You can't confirm something if it wasn't respected originally. So in order for a trend line to be accurate, let me actually just draw a trend line out. So we have to have an initial start. So we have our base. So let's do it like this. 1, 2, and then when we get to that third touch, there has to be rejection. Without rejection, I can't confirm that as an accurate trend line. If it hits that as a third touch and then breaks above, that's not considered a third touch. That's just going to be considered a move to the upside with a trend line that's not even valid. So I'm going to delete this trend line because I was hoping to get some respect, meaning that we get the market to reach that trend line, bounce off of it, and give us a push to the downside. We're not getting that. So not a valid trend line, but still very much within the premises, or the area rather, of some strong potential sell setting up. So I'll make sure that I put this up for you guys in the Discord. If you're not a part of the Discord, feel free to go into the description below. Go ahead, grab the link to the Discord so that way you guys stay updated with everything. But let me see. Roger that. Thank you. Yep, never a problem. Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else you guys got for me? Feel free to let me know. I definitely got you guys. I want to make sure that I'm helping and assisting to the best of my abilities. But let me go ahead and take a look at some US cross pairs. Yeah, there was a trade on Euro USD from, if I'm correct, yesterday. Hit our stop loss, came right back to our entry. So, but we actually we lost that trade, but we were able to win our, where'd my analysis going at? We were able to win a buy here on Euro AUD, this literally being our analysis right there, or our entry rather. I did advise students to kind of like take profits around this area, which was 100 pips. So even though we did take a loss on that Euro USD trade, I mean, it doesn't even matter because we made that back. We made the loss back and then some. So let me actually just, I had this whole thing marked up. I sent it up to a student so that way she could understand the reasoning behind it. But this was the original analysis. I'll actually replay this. There it is. This is what our trade initially looked like. that candle wasn't there. Well, it was there, but it was a little bit lower. But as you see here, if I delete it, it's not going to show you the accurate idea of why. We had the touch of the trend line, the structure, and we had our fib here as well. And I'm just going over this just to show you guys, like, it doesn't take a lot to understand how to enter a trade. As long as you're going in the, obviously in the direction of the market, this is currently bullish, and then you're using the clues that are left behind, that the market, well, the market leaves behind rather, you're always going to be able to identify entries. So the tools that I'm using to enter, trade opportunities, and I'm showing you guys, or I show you guys here on YouTube. You know what I mean? So very simple: structure, trend line, fib, candlesticks on smaller time frames. I'm correct; it was the 15 and the 5 minute that I was using to kind of identify that rejection. But yeah, just a simple trade setup, as you see here, did work out beautifully for us. And if any legacy students are still in this trade, go ahead and take profits, because we're probably going to start seeing some craziness. Actually, yeah, right now, craziness has commenced. We'll start, let me actually go to gold. So news has actually, we can go here. So let's see what the news gave us for today on the US dollar. It was just released about not even a few seconds ago. Positive for CAD, I'm not looking at that. So it did come out neutral on two aspects, but then positive in one area for the core CPI. So that should give us along the lines of a probably more bullish dollar, meaning that it'll gain strength, but I highly doubt that with the way that the market is currently moving, meaning that gold is not really selling. That bitch look like it's buying. So yeah, I'd stay far away from trading the US dollar as of right now. But let me see if it did give us any big moves on any other markets. Kind of did. Yeah, definitely gave us some big moves on some markets. Okay. It looked like it came out neutral and positive for the dollar, but it seems like it's having a negative reaction to it. So yeah, we're not going to be doing anything with that. And what's crazy is we had some beautiful AUD USD buys on our auto trader, and that shit is working out beautifully. We were in a bit of drawdown, actually. If I'm correct, some of our entries started from around here, and you see here, it kind of like sold. But as our EA continues, it like keeps stacking a bit of trades, just so that way when it does make a move such as this, it'll go ahead and end up in profits. And if I'm correct, all those trades might have ended in profits right now. So yeah, good job. If anybody's connected to the EA, that should be an extra 50 pips for you guys. But yeah, no question so far. Seems like everybody's good. Again, I just want to make sure that I'm on these sessions really helping you guys out, become more successful and profitable and consistent with your own trading. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Actually, real quick, guys, let's do this. This is actually considered a legacy line setup. Now, these trades are extremely risky. I mean, extremely risky. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to be precise and risky. And if we're risky and not precise, that's a lot of money lost. So what we are going to do real quick is on AUDJPY, I'm actually going to do this personally myself. I'm going to go ahead. Let me actually go into the 15-minute time frame. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm finding all the confirmations needed. So what I am going to do is, this is extremely risky, guys. Like, if you lose a lot of money, don't blame me. You control the risk. I'm going to place a very large lot size on a sell on EURJPY. My stop loss is going to be 40 pips, which is a pretty extensive stop loss for somebody putting a big lot size on, right? Or a large lot size for somebody using a large lot size. Stop loss, I'm confusing myself now. Stop loss, large stop loss for a large lot size on a trade like this. Our first general take profit will be, I'll actually make that about 50 pips. Only because with the risk factor in a trade like this, you obviously want to be not in and out, but you want to make sure that you're mitigating your risk. So we're going to take our first take profit here, about 50 pips. Now, if you're wondering, can I go over the analysis on why I entered this with the legacy? I can't. You would have to understand the overall strategy for me to do that. But this is just me giving back some value to you guys. And I actually weirdly see a harmonic pattern that's set up in this. And we'll actually go over that harmonic pattern here in a second, if I'm correct. If I even still know how to do that, because I have not used harmonic patterns in so long. But yeah, so first take profit is going to be about 50 pips. Now, please, guys, understand that we have every opportunity to fucking lose this trade. When it comes to legacy line trades, they're not always perfect, right? So and we already kind of missed our entry. Our entry is a little bit further up here. So I can't express, please be very careful. If you are going to use a large lot size, understand the risk behind it. If you're going to use a small lot size, the loss wouldn't even matter. It doesn't even matter, because you're going to be like, the stop loss is considerably if you're using a proper risk. That lot size is, I mean, that stop loss, see, keep confusing myself. That stop loss is just manageable for anybody using proper risk. If you're using a large lot size, obviously that's going to be a big loss if you use a large lot size. I'm going to take that risk. So now that you guys got that, this is going to be final take profit. I will not add this to the auto trader though, because I don't want, that's one thing, right? I got to make sure that we're consistently profitable. And if I see a highly risk, like a really risky trade, I'm not going to put students in that risky setup. So I'll take it personally. You guys can place it as well if you would like. That's completely up to you. But let me go ahead and place that my damn self and go from there. Where is, oh, there we go. Okay. I was confused for a second. My MT4 froze. There we go. You know, like when you haven't used MT4 for a bit and then it just kind of like stays stuck and then it loads up. I was like, oh shit, what happened? All right, yeah. Euro JPY. So even we might get a better entry, which is good because I actually want it to be, if anything, the entry in that area. So if you guys can actually get a better entry from there, that's even better. Is it still okay? Yeah, I just want to make sure it's still roughly around the area. So yeah, even if you guys get it from there, that's even a better position. And what time is it? 8:35. And the reason why I'm looking at the time as well is because I want to see within this 1 hour candlestick how that candle is working. As you can see here, if we can get a candle or rejection candle being obviously we can see the wick starting to form and develop, showing that buyers are trying to break above that point, but currently is respecting that level. So usually I'll try to time to see, well, this candle only has a little bit of time left for it to close and it's already starting to struggle and show some rejection. So let's go ahead and look for potential entries in that sense, right? So I didn't mean to really delete that, but if you guys got a better entry roughly around that area, you guys might be in small profits. If you guys place it a little bit late, that's perfectly okay. But again, this is what our trade setup is going to look like. So hopefully we do end up winning this trade. So everyone is not just getting education on these calls, but you're also getting some valuable profits for your accounts as well. Just a little my appreciation to you guys for being on these calls, my appreciation to you guys being following the legacy journey, and just being around. That's very important that I impact people's lives in a positive manner. So yeah, let's hope to see if this works. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot that on the higher time frame. Yeah, let's continue with that. But let me go to the chats or back to the video and make sure you guys are good. All right, so any questions, any comments, anything you guys got for me, feel free to let me know. Again, I just want to make sure I'm speaking on relevance and helping you guys become as consistently profitable as possible. If not, we'll conclude here today. I do actually have to run and do some errands, get some things done, but I just, again, wanted to make sure that I'm on these live calls with you guys, stay consistent for you all. And again, just trying to provide as much value and also, as you can see, profits as well. I'll make sure that I send this markup in full detail, this market in the Discord. Again, if you're not a part of the Discord, feel free to go into the link to the description below, grab the link and join our Discord. Stay updated with any and all sessions, any signals, and any other updates that I might have for you guys. Also, if you haven't already, if you have gotten some value, if you make some money on this as well, because I'm very confident that this trade will set up in our favor. If you have gained any value, please go ahead, like this video. It definitely helps grow the channel. I want to really see how far we can build this community and grow based off of transparency, profits, and obviously tons and tons of nuggets given every day. So real quick, thanks Jay. Yep, I appreciate you, LA. Appreciate you guys. If you guys got, I got that entry from up here. So if you guys were able to get a better entry from up there, beautiful. Depending on your broker, you guys are definitely in some nice little profits. And especially if you put a big lot size, you should be in some decent profits. So let's see how this works out. Let's see if this does remain profitable for us. If it does, obviously, kudos to everybody who took advantage of the opportunity to be on the call and place this trade with us. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. If you have any questions at any given point, feel free to ask me on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Smoke Signal, Carrier Pigeon, Morse Code, whatever you got, I got you. I'll be able to answer any and all questions and really assist you in the best in the best way that I possibly can. Doesn't seem like we have anything so far. Appreciate you, brother. Yep, I appreciate you guys. Yo, McAllister, that was a beautiful question. I appreciate you asking questions and interacting. That goes for everybody here. I appreciate you guys being on for today. a day. I will obviously be back on first thing tomorrow morning as well. Really make sure that we're capitalizing on any and all trade sessions to really help you guys, again, stay consistent and become more profitable. So thank you guys. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing trading week. Again, if you have any questions or anything at all, feel free to let me know. I'm always available. With that being said, gang, appreciate you guys. Shazam. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys. Where's that? There.